Welcome gamers to Dune Imperium. This is a game that's actually going to be leaving early access in, next week, basically on March the 13th. If we go across to the Direwolf News, we can sort of see there that we've got Dune Imperium digital releases on March the 13th. I guess it's March the 14th for me here in Australia, but anyway, that's where it is. And so this is, so the Battle for Arrakis is bigger than ever before. Dune Imperium Digital brings the award-winning board game strategy to Steam, Xbox, phones and tablets on March 13th. You can then go and, of course, read more about it. This is really exciting, actually, because this game, through its early access, rates 99% in recent times and 95% overall over the time that it has been in early access, which has been, about 6 months, I guess, has been in the early access phase. And the game itself, I've never played Dune Imperium, the board game. We might just deviate off. By the way, welcome to my channel. My name is DasTactic. I cover all sorts of different strategy games. I do love these board game adaptations, and this is a very, very pure adaptation of the actual board game. I've done incredibly well, and as you'll see, the AI plays amazingly well as well. There's been a lot of care and attention put into how they've presented this game in all sorts of different ways. What my approach will be to actually show you one of the tutorials. There's 3 different tutorials, so we'll sort of start there because that presents the board very, very well, and then we'll go and play a solo game. It's probably going to take a bit of time. I think I can still do this in one sitting. It may be longer than an hour, but I guess the initial 10-15 minutes will be that tutorial where I can then explain how the game is played, because I think it's the easiest way to actually get across what's what and how things actually work before we actually start playing. Another thing that may help you, which I found in the game itself, the tutorials are fantastic, but they don't really give you a reference of what you can actually go and do. So what I would suggest you do is actually go back up into the Direwolf News. It doesn't really matter where you end up going with any of these different things, whether it be upcoming projects, whatever else it might be, and just click on a link and go to the actual website. By the way, this Invincible, the hero building game, I would love to play that, but this is actually a tabletop game, so I love the TV show. It's just incredible, the TV show. Anyway, I think it's on Prime, Amazon Prime. Anyway, it's an incredible superhero cartoon. It's one of my favourite cartoons I've ever seen. Anyway, let's just go across the games. The games are split between, actually, where is it? If we just go back into the games again. I'll just click on view all games, because what we're interested in really is not the tabletop games, but actually it is, what I'm trying to get across to you is that I don't know if the game when it releases will actually release with a manual. If it does, then bypass what I'm saying through here. But if you're wanting to get an understanding of how the game is played, just grab one of the Dune Imperium, just go into this particular one through here, scroll down. There is actually a PDF. This is the board game that we're looking at, but there is actually a PDF in here, down through here. So still have questions about how to play. Download the Dune Imperium board game rules PDF. If they don't have one that's actually in the actual release version of the digital game, I would recommend you have a look at this. It's actually it presents the overall aspect of the game really quite succinctly and quite well. And so it just goes through what all the different pieces are. And the descriptions work very, very well. It's actually it's a really good little reference, even just to get an understanding of the Dune lore and the Dune, an overview of how the whole, the movie, if you're having trouble understanding what's happening in the movie, have a read of just this one page here with all the different factions and how things sort of, how everything actually does work within the actual, within the Dune universe, because it segments out the board. Now our board is going to look very, very similar to this, with a couple of little exceptions, but it's a very compact sort of game. Anyway, I thought I'd just show you that, because this, as I say, is a great reference, and I hope that they add something like this to supplement the game when it does get released. Okay, so let's have a look. The tutorials are excellent. They do take a bit of time, there's 3 of them, and you can't do the second one until you've done the first one. So I've done all 3. Well worth doing when you actually get the game, and maybe even do them all play a couple of games and then do them all again, because I miss things. I've done them now twice, just to get a bit of a feel for what I did miss, and it's quite cool. The middle one here is probably the one that gives you the best overview of what to do in the game. So I'm just going to go and use that as our reference point for this particular video. So just go and click on that one through there. In we go into the game itself. Okay, so I'll just explain how things are working. Now, the first one goes through how these different sorts of conflicts come up. The conflicts are then presented down in through this little battle area, and it's now the start of the turn. So we have one turn consists of many different phases. There's 2 agent phases, and these are both agents down through here. You can have up to 3 agents, or technically 4 if there's another way of getting an extra agent as well. But you can see that both parties, so we've got the Beast Raban has got 2 available agents, and we're playing as Paul Atreides with 2 available agents. Let me just go through the user interface just so you get a bit of a feel for what's going on. This is like a little sandworm, which indicates whoever's got this next to them is the first player for that turn. The turn, as I say, consists of many phases. So the phases, actually I'll go through the phases as we get there. Down through here we've then got the amount of spice that we control. We've got 2 spice. This is the Solari, which is essentially the money in the Dune universe, and then we've also got water as well. Now you can see that the Beast has got 3 spice, 1 Solari, so more than us, and 2 water as well. Also, the next little thing that we see across here is that we've got intrigue cards from his side of things. He's got 0 of those, and every player starts off with 5 cards in their hand. So you can see that we've got 5 cards down through here, and he's got 5 cards as well. Now, we don't know what they are. That's a closed hand. And so we play with these cards to move our agents in the first 2 phases of the turn. And so we move 1 agent somewhere on the board in our first phase. Then the Beast Raban will then move 1 into one of the other locations. When an agent is on a location, that's all you can then do at that point in that phase, and then it's the other person's phase. So 2 phases of moving agents, and then if there is going to be anything in the actual skirmish or in the combat phase, we then move into the combat phase of the game and play that out. And so the tutorial holds your hand for a lot of it, but this tutorial actually does allow you to have a bit of agency, a bit of free play. So I'll be able to then use this. So if this is, it says Ewan Gurney Halleck, so this is actually Thufer Hawat, the Mentat, is saying a Mentat is like a human computer. And so you and Gurney Halleck have shrewdly faced the Harkonnen threat. Now it's my duty to prepare you for the broader and subtler battlefield imperial politics. And so when we sort of click on this run through here, I'll just click on through. It's now showing up different parts of the board. I probably should have started off by explaining what we're seeing on the board itself. The first thing that we see when you first start playing the first tutorial is you're introduced to Arrakis itself. So Arrakis, the planet, consists of any sort of skirmishing that's going to be going on. It also consists of the different mining operations that you have down through here. There's 3 of them. So the Imperial Basin, for example, will give you one spice. And at the start, there'll be 1 extra if no one actually takes that one. When you see little cross swords like this, it means you can enter into the skirmish area. And we actually have 2 reserve or garrisons troops back in through here into there. So each player can have a maximum of 12 troops, including both those in the garrison and deployed in the conflict. Now these aren't deployed. We've got 2 that we can play with, and we have 10 left that we can add to it, a maximum of 12. So that's actually what we have. The Beast Raban, so he actually only has, he's got all 12 still of his left in there. Now, the troops are the little cubes. So when we see cubes, this is actually what we're looking at through there. So wherever we see sort of like cubes, these are ways for us to enhance our garrison, and we do that through the actual game itself. So anyway, this here is the spice mining. This one here, for example, would require a card that has got a yellow triangle, a mining card. And if you ever look down at Dune the Desert Planet, this card here has got the agent. I can apply an agent to that location by using this card. So the cards are used to place agents, and we've got 5 cards, 2 agents, 1 agent per phase, basically. So that's one thing we could have done, is to take that one, because we've got no water. If we had 1 water, we could get 2 spice by moving that one into that location at the expense of 1 water. This one here is 3 spice for 2 water Now, the Beast Raban does have 2 water, so he may play a card if he does have anything with a triangle. Now, the Mentats, you'll notice that it's got a whole lot of different sorts of symbols on the left-hand side. The left-hand side shows what they can do with agents. And so some of them have got nothing, like this one here can't be played. It actually serves a different purpose in the game, which I'll explain when we get to it. This one here, for example, is a reconnaissance. This is the mining operations. This is the populated areas of the planet as well. And again, anything that you place, and any agent you place on the planet will allow you to enter the skirmish mode. So you can see the little cross swords back and through here as well. And these all, when you do play one of these sorts of agents, like a reconnaissance agent, into the different areas, we would then pick up one army, for example. So we would recruit a garrison, but we also then draw another card. So we can then sort of draw a card into our area. The Beast Raban, again, with his 2 water, could actually play it in here into the research station and draw 3 cards if he needed to. It sort of comes down, I'll explain when we're playing the single player game as to why or when you might play that, but it all comes down to these are the cards that are currently available these are open to everyone, and this is at the end of the turn. You then get to convert what you've got across whatever's left over in those diamond shapes, like 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and then Gurney Halleck is another 1 as well. And so the end phase is what we end up getting with those particular cards. And so at the moment, it shows us what we have. The Imperial Row and Reserve, we actually hold 6 of these reveal tokens, meaning we could actually go and get, for example, Duncan, Idaho is available for 4. This one here, the Satakar regions, are available for 5. So that'll make sense as we get to it. But anyway, that's I'm just trying to vaguely explain how things actually do work. Now, Thufir has actually now said there are 4 great factions in the Imperium. So this is Dune itself down in through here, or Arrakis itself. When you send an agent to a faction board space, you not only gain the effects shown, you also gain an influence with that faction. And so there's 4 factions through here, which is now highlighted. Down through here we have the Fremen, who are the actual, the inhabitants of Dune, and this is the influence panel through there. So we have 2. If we get to the second one, we then end up getting a influence. We get this token through here is a victory point. So we want to get to 10 victory points in the main game. But in this case, if we can get to there, we end up with a victory point. If we get to there, we end up with sort of like some bonus water, and then we become actually allied with the Fremen. Some things like, for example, this location here, the Sietch Tabr, is a requirement. You must have 2 or more influence with the Fremen. So we have to be at that level or higher, which is indicated through here, to actually be able to then go and claim this one where we can then pick up water. So we can get water for free from that one through there. And then we've got the Bene Gesserits back in through this other side. By the way, if you play either one of these locations, if you send an agent to any one of these 2 locations, you will then also be able to fight. The Bene Gesserits you won't. So if you do send agents into here, you get what's called intrigue cards, which you'll see fairly soon. This here is the Spacers Guild, and so this is actually sort of like for transporting things through space. This is interesting as well. There's so many different ways and approaches to play this game. It's actually, superficially, it looks like it's very simple, but it's actually very nuanced, depending on what cards you've got when you start playing, what character you've got. Each character has their own benefit as well. Then up through here we have the House Carino. This is the Emperor, so the Emperor's faction directly up through this other side. Over through here we see another little area. This is Choam, like essentially the merchant guild, who will then buy spice from you and convert it into Solari. So we'll see that when it all becomes available. So there are 4 great factions in the Imperium. When you send an agent to a faction board space, you not only gain the effects shown, you also gain an influence with that faction. So every time we send something across into a Fremen location, our little green marker there will then move up 1 level. So that's sort of where we are. For example, the Fremen are experts in desert survival and able to find water where no one else could or would. And so And so to send an agent to a faction space, you must play a card of that faction's agent's icon. So if we have a look at this one through here, you can see that with diplomacy, we can only play a diplomacy card somewhere along here because these require the actual diplomacy along this other side through here. And so play a card with the faction's faction agent icon. Diplomacy has all 4 faction icons. Drag it to the still suits. This will then pick us up 1 extra water. So let's go and drag that one across. So we go first. We get to take that one. That then locks off the still suits. No one else can get that one. We take 1 extra spot up through there. And so by using the Fremen space, you not only gained water, but you also gained 1 influence with the Fremen. This is shown on their influence track. So now we get to be able to deploy troops because it had the little cross swords. So both Fremen board spaces are also combat spaces. So take this opportunity to deploy the 2 troops in your garrison to the conflict. So we've got the 2 in the garrison through here. We can now just go to deploy troops. I think we can deploy up to 3, I think, typically. So if we go back across, we can then go into the fight. Now, this fight is going to give us 1 extra influence somewhere and 1 piece of spice. Whoever comes second is going to, and it's going to be the Beast Raban if you know, in the tutorial we are going to win this. Spoiler alert. He'll pick up 2 spice. So it's not terrible often to come second. But you've got to be in the fight. If you're not in the fight, if he doesn't commit anything to it, then he will actually end up, he'll get to save whatever he's got in his garrison, but he won't get any, whatever the actual reward is. Anyway, let's go and add in 2 of those. So we've now put the 2, both of the actual deployed troops have gone in there, which has now given me a combat strength of 4. So their troops are worth 2 points each. We then just confirm our turn. So that is now our turn has been played. Just go and click on that one. Well done. Your father, the Duke, believes the Fremen could be powerful allies, but so could any faction. So on your next turn, we will engage another. So we'll go and click on this one through here. Now he's played Dune the Desert Planet and has placed it down in here. He spent those 2 water and has now claimed that particular location. So we can't move our agent to there. We can't play this one back onto that particular position. Well, we can't do it anyway in the tutorial because we're told to do what we're to do here. The Witches of the Bene Gesserit are secretive but powerful. Having their support is vastly preferable to the alternative. So drag my Thufir Hawat card to secrets to send an agent there. So we can now do this one because he also, Thufir Hawat and a lot of the Mentats can actually go anywhere. So they've got access to anything on the board really. So as long as you can pay for whatever it might be. And so in this case, he's suggesting that we go into this secrets area of the Bene Gesserits. So let's just go across. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us an intrigue card. So we pick up an extra card in through there. Like in this case a dagger card, but we also get a private army. And what this one does, it's going to add 5 to the combat in a secret way. So we've got an intrigue card if we want to play it. We can save these cards. These cards get replenished every single turn, like after all the phases have been completed. But this one stays in your hand to be played when you feel like playing it. Okay, along with the 1 influence and the Bene Gesserit, this board space has earned you an extra intrigue card. It also allows you to steal intrigue cards if an opponent is holding 4 or more. So by going there, we can actually, if we notice that his intrigue cards are 4 or 5, we could send an agent there and then steal one of those cards. So that's sort of what we can do with that particular location through there. I love just how clean the graphics are in this particular game. So we'll just go across. This is a new type of intrigue card, a combat card. Hold your cursor over it to take a closer look. And so, as I said before, we essentially end up with we can spend 2 spice and pick up like 5 extra combat if we need it. So that's that one through there. He's played a signet ring. Now we'll talk about this when we get into the actual game itself. But he's played it up into this role, and he's now got 1 of the intrigue cards as well. And he's actually now matched our score. Now, if after the combat, and the combat, there's no luck involved in anything of this other than the actual cards that you get to play down here. So if we end up here with the, like where we've both got 4 each, we would both finish in 2nd place and no one would get the 1st place. So, face me Atreides, the favour of riches and nomads is no measure of power. Battle is the true test. So where beast is impatient, I must be tranquil. The conflict will come. For now, I reveal my hand. So we've now just played through the 2 different phases of the agents. So the agent phase is now complete. We both have got skin in the game with the conflict. So before we get there, though, we're just going to reveal our hand. So we now show the hand on the board. And from here, because we went first, we then get to choose whatever we want from the top through here. And so this is our revealing of our hand. We can see there we've got 2, 3, 4 left over. We played these 2, Diplomacy and Thief here. That these don't get scored with what we actually had, but just these through here. So we've got 4 cards that we can then go and play. And this is now Duncan Idaho saying, Paul, I hope you've had enough of stuffy mentats and grouchy war masters. It's time for me to take over your lessons. Remember, this is a tutorial. We're going to be playing a single-player game fairly soon. I'll see how I go with time-wise. I may even make that into a second video, but I'll see how I go. So yes, Swordmaster Duncan Idaho has been assigned to be your first tutor. Spend your 4 to acquire his card. So we've got 4 we can spend because of these diamonds that are left over in our hand, and so we can now drag Duncan Idaho down into here and pick up his card. His card then gets added to our deck. I don't know if we can show that. Actually, now he's acquiring the Sardaukar Legion. So the beast got the Sardaukars. And I don't know if we click on these. Can we see it? No, we can't just yet. Okay, so I'll show you that when we get into the single player. So look, I'm sure Gurney taught you the basics, but the reality is that you can rarely be sure of the outcome of battle before it begins, which is very true in this game. There's always a chance for the tide to shift. That's because each leader can play any combat intrigue cards they might have. Now we went from 4 to 5 because we had we had that little combat card left in our hand as well, and so that the dagger card moved us up the 1. If you rewind a bit, you'll see we had a dagger card in the end after we played this. Actually, it was after we played Thurfair, because his card allows us to get another card. As a first player, you get the initial opportunity to select a combat card. Since you're winning, so we're ahead of him, we don't have to select this card here. We can, if we wanted to, just pass. In fact, it's probably the best thing you can do anyway, because we will have another chance. So the advantage of going first is that you can actually pass. He then has to play his card. Now, he's ambushed us with 4. So he's played a card there for 4, and he's now up to 8. So he's now winning the skirmish. Ha! You've walked straight into my ambush, fool of treaties. So we just go across. So, well, Paul, Beast has the upper hand. What are you going to do? Too easy, Duncan. I'll play my private army combat card, and I'll regain the lead against Beast. So in this case, what we do is we just drag it onto the middle of the map, and then we're done with it. So it's going to cost me the 2 of the spice that we have. So we just go and drag it to there, and that goes down to 0. This goes up to 10. And that is basically, now he can't do anything else, so that's essentially the end of the battle. And so, impossible, I promise you pain for this insult. And so in this case, Paul then goes and wins. He wins 1 extra spice, but he does now gain the extra influence. So we go continue. And we're just going to choose, I'm going to choose so I see I'll need to push you harder. Your reward for winning this conflict is 1 spice and 1 influence with any faction. Take it with the Fremen. So we're just going to choose Fremen in through here, but we can do it with any of them. So we'll just go and confirm that one. This will then take us up into this rung. Your second influence with a faction will always earn you victory point. So we're now gone to 2 victory points. Now hurry up. Next round, I'm turning you loose. So now in the tutorial, it's the first time we can start to make our own decisions. Now in this case, we get another victory point if we win this one. We also get to remove 1 of our cards. Now that sounds like a bad thing, sounds like a bad deal, but it's actually not. And I'll explain why. I don't know if we keep on playing this one out if we're going to see the rest of the board. So I'm sort of tempted to close it off because there's still some things missing from the board up through here. And I do want to explain what all the board elements actually are. So before you're truly ready to lead, there are a few other... Oh, here we go. Before you're truly ready to lead, there are a few other board spaces you need to know about. So he's starting to add in through here. So this is the Landsraad Council, is where the great houses debate and dispense imperial power. So the Imperium, led by the Emperor, is just one of the great houses. He's the first amongst the great houses, and so he relies on, he needs the support of the Landsraad Council to be able to then rule. And so it very succinctly plays all the different factions all together, like Arrakis itself, the different areas, the different locations on Arrakis, the Choam area where you can sort of then convert your spice that you mine into Solari, and then you've got other things in through here where you can actually then essentially have the Landsraad Council. So it says this is debate. There's a Hall of Oratory can give you extra persuasion. So back through here, you can actually go and get an extra garrison released, but also one more persuasion. Actually, that's what those little diamonds are called. Or you could spend some Solari to rally troops. So in this case, you can, if you're wanting to, go and actually spend 4 Solari and bring 4 troops into your garrison. So that's how that would then work. Also, you now have access to the Fremen Holdfast Siege Tabar in through here. Because we've got level 2 in through this area, we now have access to this particular location, which will then give us 1 more garrison, 1 more water, and allows us to play in the combat. Okay, and so leaders must have 2 or more influence with the Fremen to be permitted to send an agent there. So you have many options now. Remember that you can hold your cursor over any space to learn more about it. So you've seen 2 significant sources of victory points, conflicts and influence tracks. Instead of telling you what to do, I'm just going to give you a goal. Reach 4 of these goals however you can. And so the rest of this is then played out where you just play with what you're seeing on the game here right now to then try to get to the other 4. Now I won't keep on playing this one out, but this essentially would be we get to an extra 1 through here. Maybe I will, just to sort of show a little bit more about what we can do. Now we have, again, if we have a look at the different cards that we have, the convincing argument we can't play, but it does have 2 persuasion at the back end of what we're doing. We've currently got 6 in our hand. Always, like it's the beast's turn to go first, so he'll have first pick of anything that's actually in here. There's another Mentat. There's Peter DeVries, but he doesn't have the ability to actually go and influence anyone else over through here just yet. So we don't really know what we're going to have to choose from in here. So there's no point really planning ahead in that sense. But playing on this Siege Tabar is probably a good one for us. It's going to give us at least a start to get in. We have Gurney Halleck who can actually go there. Now when we go and place this one, so we end up with, you may deploy these troops into the conflict. So let's go and play Gurney Halleck into, this is the card we just picked up. So I can go and play him into here. You can see he can go into a few different locations. That gives me 3. So if we have a look at the Gurney Halleck card, we get 2 plus a replacement card, and that's here comes Duncan now coming back into it. So so we end up with that one through there. If we had have left him in our hand, it would have been 2 persuasion, and we could have then spent 3 of the Solari to pick up a couple more garrison if we needed to. So anyway, let's go and deploy these troops. Sometimes you don't want to be deploying everything, but we'll play all 3 in this case, so we're up to 6. We'll just go and confirm that one. If we're a long way ahead, like the most that they can get is about 5 usually, so you want to be about 5 ahead of them. We'll just end at that phase. We should say end phase and not end turn. It's a bit confusing. So he's gone for more spice, and he's also gone for armies. He does have an intrigue card, so we don't know if that's going to be something that's going to help him in the fight or not. So we can go and play 1 more card. We do have to 2 water. And we can actually pick up 3 more cards here. I'm actually tempted to go and get that one. Oh, by the way, the signet rings, every player has their own ability with their own signet ring. So every single character in the game has got like a different bonus. If we play this one, we get another card drawn into our hand. I might play this because the Duncan Idaho does add 2 more to the combat rating at the end of when we reveal our hand. The dagger adds another 1 as well. So we've got another 3 coming in. That's 9. That's probably enough. So let's just go and play the signet ring back into... Actually, that's going to be 1 more point. If we go back in and grab Duncan Idaho and play him... Yeah, I'm just going to think, will he be able to catch up? We're going to be at 7. We don't know what he's going to be on. That's still 5. Let's just go with Duncan Idaho into here. So we'll bring him across, and we pick up the 3 cards. Here comes Thufir again. Now what's happened here is we've gone through our full discard pile through our deck, and now we've got a heap of cards. We've got 7 points in our hand right now. So we'll end our turn because there's nothing much else we can do, and just hope that he can't pick up the extra 4 or 5 that are required. Now he's revealed his hand. He's up to 5. So we're going to be now revealing, and we're going to go to 7 because of this card through here. Do we have any others with... no, none of the others have got it there. But we will pick up an intrigue card here when we reveal this hand. There we go. We've got Charisma, which we can't use. We can play it to get another couple if there's something we really, really want. So we gain 2 Charisma this one. So Paul, before you acquire any cards, notice that that a couple are set apart. The Arrakis Legion and the Spice Must Flow are a special type of Imperium card called Reserve cards. So there's heaps of these. This one gives you, as soon as if you can get to 9, and we're on 7, so I can play this, get to 9, and grab I can win the game right now. Actually, I didn't know that when I was doing this. By the way, I stumbled around when I was first doing this particular tutorial and didn't do it this way. This is quite a streamlined way to play it. There are many copies of each reserve card that remain available after being acquired, instead of being replaced with a new card from the Imperium deck. The Spice Must Flow is also special in another way. It has an acquire effect, a reward that you get as soon as you gain the card, in this case a victory point, which we do want to do. And so with this one here, I can play this card and go bang, there we go, we're now up to 9. Let's go and grab the Spice Must Flow, drag that one down, that gives us a victory point. So we're now up to 3, and we just need to get to 4 basically in this little tutorial scenario. So, and we're still 2 ahead of where he is. I'm going to end my turn. Hopefully, he won't have it. This card won't give him the ability to win the actual fight. It may do though. No, he's passed. We sort of can't do anything really. So yeah, okay, great. We actually won that one. So we had 7 combat versus his 5, meaning that he gets a water and a spice, but we then win this particular scenario because we had to get to 4. Just go continue. And so trash. Now this is important. This is an important aspect of the game. It's something I didn't really rate very much at all when I was first learning how to play the game. And look, I've only been playing for a couple of days, but it's but in this case, what you want to do is you want to get rid of the cards that aren't going to give you the persuasion points. And so we've got a couple of cards in through here. For example, like in the dagger, we've got a dagger. The dagger is in the play area through here. We can have a look at the different things. Oh, sorry, this is discard. The play area is empty. Our hand is empty. So this is all. This should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I thought we got an extra one somewhere. Maybe we didn't. Anyway, this is. I'm going to remove the dagger card because it doesn't help us enormously. Now, if I needed to go up into the Landstrat Council and do different things, then that little pentagon shape that is the green pentagon on the left-hand side does allow me to send an agent up there. So that there may be a time where if you're wanting to focus in that area of the board that you may want to grab that like keep these cards, but often that's a good one to get rid of. Sometimes things like, for example, reconnaissance is a pretty cheap and easy one to get rid of as well. You often don't use that one. What else is there? Even Dune the Desert Planet, you'll find replacement cards for this that are more powerful. And so I'm going to get rid of the dagger card. So I'm just going to drag that down into there. I can decline. So that wasn't half bad. Your skills are developing quickly. You'll have more to teach you. Advanced tactics. You'll need to. So we got to the 4 that were required. You'll need to fight for Arrakis beginning in earnest. But let's see. But let that be a lesson for another day. So anyway, that was essentially winning the tutorial, the second tutorial. So they ended up on 0. We ended up on 4, and I think that was the perfect way to play through that back end of that tutorial. Way, look at me. Way to go. I've done incredibly well there, guys. So I'm thinking of actually leaving this video here as a part 1 to explain how the game is played, and then I'm going to go into the second video. And there is actually one other aspect. Actually, if I just go continue, because we're not seeing the whole board. I'll show you the whole board, and then we can go through so you can then see how it actually does all work. If I just go back into this one through here. And so we now see that we've got a few more spots that are actually in through this other side. Now, in this one we end up getting, I'll just start this one so you can sort of see, she went first. This is Ariana Thorvald. So we're still playing as Paul Atreides. Welcome back, Paul. Think of you're ready to continue training in advanced tactics. Been ready a long time. I think so. Right, I'll give you the 5 goals, but I'll let you be the first. I'll tell you the first for now. And so the first one, it's saying go to here, which is a new one on the board. So gain your Swordmaster. The Swordmaster board space costs a hefty 8 Solari. Leaders can only send an agent there once each game, so you can only get 1 extra agent. So it does give you an extra agent, but once you do, you'll have an additional permanent agent to send each round. So it goes from 2 to 3. This is an important one to try to get fairly early on in the game. The game has been reset. You'll have a fresh start against Countess Ariana of House Thorvald. From its seat of glorious Ipper, the great House Thorvald declares its claim for the fiefdom of Arrakis. So she's from one of the other great houses. Doesn't really come into, I don't think it comes into any of the movies or anything at this stage. Don't even remember her from the book. I'm not exactly sure how that all works. Well, they can't all be as charming as Beast, can they? Get to work, Paul. I'll return with some more goals as you progress more goals. Right, so what we've actually now got, the things that were missing at the end of that last little section were these up through here. So we had those two, but we didn't have the Swordmaster, which costs Solari. A lot of these cost Solari plus the Pentagon to be able to then access and activate the Landsraad Council. So this whole green section is the Landsraad Council. This one, as I said before, is Choam. This is actually where we end up to being able to convert spice into Solari that we can then sort of use to influence the council. The Emperor is also, once we sort of start giving the Emperor spice, we then get other benefits by playing up with the Emperor's cards back in through here. So getting the Emperor on side is a good thing to do. If we go with the Spaces Guild, we end up being able to eventually get Solari from them as well, and also a lot of troops, a lot of combat troops to be able to play into that particular area. But this is sort of the new stuff that's coming in. So in this particular game, the objective is to get to this one fairly quickly if we can. In reality, though, this one's a bit cheaper at 5. But it does also give you 2 more persuasion. Then the earlier you can get that persuasion, the better off you're going to be basically in the game. So it allows you then to spend, like we're on 7 at the moment. If I could get another 2, that'd be awesome. But when we play our agent card, of course, these are all we're going to be missing those persuasions at the bottom of the actual agent cards in through there. But in this case, you would then start just like this is essentially playing an actual game against one other player, where you are trying to. What am I trying to say? Where you are trying to win the game. Like this is actually a full game, but only against one other player. But we do actually have goals that come onto the side through there. Now, we don't have to do that. We can just play our own way. But in this case, we'd be trying to get hold of Solari. So that may mean that, okay, look, we've got 1 water. We may play the Dune Desert World on this one here and get at least 2 spice. That might be one way that we go. We do actually pick up there is actually a victory point up for grabs here. That would be good as well. Even if we came second, it would actually still be good to get the intrigue card and 2 more of the 2 more Solari. That would at least move us along a little bit closer. So if we wanted to, we could actually still compete. She's already competed 2 of them. She's got 4 points. Anyway, look, I'll stop this here because otherwise we're going to be going down another whole rabbit hole. And I do want to go through and actually show you a solo game. So I'll do that in part 2, probably be in a day or 2, maybe 2 or 3 days. I'll then upload a second video, which will actually be a playthrough of the actual game itself in solo mode. Thanks for watching. I will catch you then. Please like and subscribe if you like this sort of content. I love doing these sort of games. I love what this game does, to be honest. I would have loved to have played the board game of this one. It looks so damn good. I'm sort of lucky in a lot of ways because my whole family, not just me, my wife, my kids, but also my nephews, my sister, everyone loves playing board games in my family, which is it must be genetic. I don't know. It's just funny. My nephews and all sorts of stuff. In fact, whenever I catch up with my nephews, we always play board games. and computer games and stuff as well. Anyway, it's really cool, and so I'm sort of lucky in that sense. And one of my nephews in particular always has the best board games, and one of my daughters often has some really. Two of my daughters actually usually have some really interesting board games to play as well. So, I'm lucky in the sense that my whole family enjoys board games, and but I haven't seen any of them play Dune Imperium. And I know this will be a game that all of them would absolutely love. It's an incredible game. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.